I promised I would do an updated review on ownership of the PFAFF Creative Expect 350 sewing embroidery combo. I've had it about a year now. I've tested its durability without breaking it, so that's a first. And I'm just going to show you the things that I found with it, some of the things that I don't like. It's not going to be drastically different from the video that I did a year ago, but there's a few things. So hopefully this helps you in your journey, making an informed decision. And if this is the machine for you, great. And if it's not, great. Let's go. So the first thing I think you need to know about this machine, and it's really important, is that it's extremely bobbin fussy. So what do I mean by that is it only came with 5 bobbins, and I'm a nut that likes to have like 100 bobbins filled because when it gets down, I don't want to bother refilling it. I just want to put in a full spool. Now, the website, the Singer website, because see, Husqvarna, Singer, and PFAFF are all under the same brand now. I ordered Series K PFAFF bobbins, which is what it said on the website. However, they wouldn't actually fit on the bobbin winder. Now, when I went to the company, they said, oh, you just need to push it. Well, if I'd pushed it, I would have broke my machine. So I went into the PFAFF dealership locally. She called the local rep. And as it turns out, they have their own special bobbin that is not the PFAFF Series K bobbin. So that was a nuance. That was a pain in the butt. I have enough now to last me a lifetime, so I'm probably good. One of my friends works at Atlantic Fabrics. I bought these, which is great, but because there's no auto stop on the bobbin filler, another nuance, they would actually snap when it got to close to being full, so the top would pop off. So I just don't fill them super, super full, and they've worked fine. I think I led somebody astray on my YouTube channel as well. They asked about increasing the size of the font. Well, with the built-in images, and there's lots of them, this is a real plus about the machine. All you need to do is once you've selected it, you just hit the edit button, and there's this button here to increase size. So that's decrease, that's increase. So you can bump it up to the max the machine will let you. But with font, so if we go back, let's move this up, go back and add font, you actually can only pick small, medium, or large. So you can't actually resize the font. So that was a whoopsie on my questions. So I will respond to that person and say, I'm sorry. But it is kind of cool that you can, you can increase, decrease sizes just based on your selection, small, medium, large, and you can do a fair bit of editing on the machine itself, which is really great. One other thing that I've really enjoyed with this machine is the ability to just upload images to the cloud. I've bought some designs on Etsy. I've also found a few things on this website called Embroidery. I'm probably not pronouncing that right. And they had all kinds of free downloads. So with the cloud, if you go to the cloud, I just upload some of my files as I'm working through them to remember what date I've been working on. And these were all free files that I found online, and you can size them up and size them down as you need. Now, one thing I did find with this as well, I know my original video, I said when you size up, you can decrease the tension, and when you size down, you increase it, or vice versa. I find with embroidery, I have to have the tension quite low. You can see on the top of my sheen, I actually put a note to myself to remember to check the tension because it's very different between regular sewing and doing embroidery. So I'm going to talk about the durability thing. So I had downloaded a file. It's actually right on my system, and I'm going to show it to you. So this is in my files. It's a Star Trek command. You'll notice up here, it's 13,000 stitches. I found about 15,000 or less is about the max the machine will do before it starts to bark at me. It did not like the Star Trek image. And I'll show you what happened. So here was the embroidery. It did the base embroidery absolutely beautifully. But then the next part is it had to stitch over or embroider over the embroidery it already created, and it just wouldn't do it. I would describe as the machine just was not strong enough. So depending on what design you're using, it may or may not cause you some grief. I tried it again on a different material that wasn't so thick. Same thing. which is this. So here you can see like this is on a fairly lightweight shirt material. And it did the same thing. So I found with this, it's 15,000 stitches or less that it seems to handle okay. As long as it's not stitching over embroidery that it's already done, it just does not seem to be robust enough to handle that. Now, for me, it's one design. I basically was limited to doing some quilting. I did some garment making, and then in a lot of cases, I just embellished stuff. I did some applique, some more embroidery, and it really was fine with embroidery other than that small nuance. I also hooped a pair of my sister's jeans, and did a fairly substantial embroidery design on that, and it did chug once, and paused, actually, like froze, and I restarted the machine. It went right back to where it was supposed to, which was great. So the bulk of what I've done over the last year really is embellishing clothes. I did a row of the month with Cricut, and I embellished some of the rows. There was one with flowers that I added some butterflies and some hummingbirds. A couple of the other things that I've bought for the machine since I've gotten it was, or is, this is a piping foot. If you can see, there's like a little groove in it. So you just buy the plain cord and then you wrap it in fabric, and this gives you a nice clean edge along creating your piping. I actually really love this foot. I like to do some outdoor decor, and I recovered all of our outdoor cushions with piping, and I used that foot for it. I also did some applique on a sweater where I did a quilted design. This is I think it's a guide foot. I can't remember the exact name of it, but or grid foot. What I loved about this is it helps you sort of keep your seams in line as you're doing multiple stitches, um, which made it just easier. So those are a couple of things that I really liked. Uh, Needles, I pretty much only buy Schmetz, but I buy them specifically for what I'm doing. Like this is jeans needles, and I've got a little bit heavier weight. This goes right up to 110. Embroidery needles for embroidery. And then over here is, I actually have Gutermann thread that's specifically for bobbins for doing your embroidery. It only comes in black and white, but the weight is really nice, and I found it produced some great results. So here are my final thoughts on the machine. So here are my final thoughts on the PFAFF Creative Expect 350 sewing machine. It's pretty well handled, most of what I've thrown at it, other than I did show you the limitations with embroidery when the design is got dense stitches and you're stitching over. It's got some nuances with bobbins. It's very easy to use, which is positive. There's lots of things that you can do right on the machine. Do I think it's going to last? That's still a question mark for me. There's a Singer version, very similar. The software looks identical. There's the PFAFF, and there's also a Viking Quartz 29. I considered that machine as well. I have a theory. There's no basis on this. I just have a suspicion that they're probably all made in the same factory. They probably have all the same inner components. They just have an exterior that looks a little bit different. One thing that I think is really important to mention with this machine, and I should have when I was showing you the software, is the one thing that PFAFF was known for was that all of their machines came with IDT, otherwise known as their built-in walking foot. I bought the PFAFF assuming that it had the built-in walking foot, and this is the only machine that I can find that they make that does not. So this machine does not have a built-in walking foot. So whether you buy the Husqvarna version or the PFAFF version, I think it's going to be the same machine. I'm not a Singer girl, so I apologize if you are. And where I think it fits, I have a craft room. I do everything from polymer clay to sublimation to Cricut, and actually a 3D printer most recently, which I've made some pretty cool stuff for sewing. So I think if you're somebody who sort of dabbles in a little bit of everything, I think that this is where this machine really shines. If you're somebody who's looking for fairly large embroidery designs and spaces, this isn't the machine. If you're somebody who plans on doing a lot of garment making with thick, heavy material, sewing denim, sewing leather, this is not the machine. But if you're somebody like me who just likes to tinker with stuff, maybe embellish a few things, maybe make some quilts, I think that it's going to handle most of what you need for it. Good luck with the bobbins. Hopefully you found this helpful, and good luck in your sewing journey. Thank you. Cheers.